The Florida League of Cities presents FLC live at the Capitol Week 8. This weekly video update provides highlights of key legislative activities and showcases the League's advocacy in action. City officials from Weston, Fort Walton Beach, Fanning Springs, Hallandale Beach, Pensacola, Isla Mirada, and Key West came to Tallahassee to meet with legislators and advocate on behalf of their cities and the League's legislative agenda. The Florida League of Cities thanks each of them for their advocacy efforts.
It's really important to make sure that we come up here to remind the legislature what the Florida cities are fighting for, making sure that we can defend our home rule issues and make sure that we get a final say right before the end of the session.
Now, on to developing legislative issues. Municipal police and firefighter pension reform gained little ground for the second week in a row. Committee substitute for House Bill 1399 by Representative Rooney remains in the House Appropriations Committee this week. Unfortunately, this does not mean that committee substitute for House Bill 1399 is dead for the session. Rather, committee substitute for House Bill 1399 could be withdrawn from committee and moved directly to the House floor for consideration. Or, because committee substitute for Senate Bill 458 has passed the Senate, it could be heard on the House floor as well. In its current form, the League does not support these bills because they lock in the 1999 level of benefits and allow the legislature to dictate pension benefit levels for cities rather than allowing cities and police fire unions to collectively bargain pension benefit levels. Many cities provided unsustainably high pension benefit levels in 1999. To keep existing plans sustainable, sound, and secure for current and future police fire, cities must have the flexibility to negotiate a sustainable benefit level. The bill as passed prevents this from occurring. Both bills also remove from law the statutory basis for the current Department of Management Services interpretation on the use of insurance premium tax revenues. The current DMS interpretation provides cities and police fire unions for the first time since 1999 with the needed flexibility to collectively bargain pension benefit levels and the use of insurance premium tax revenues for these benefits. Rather, as already noted, the bill now requires cities to maintain the unsustainable level of pension bills provided by the city in 1999. While the bill contains a narrow grandfather provision for cities operating in reliance on the current DMS interpretation, the bill effectively repeals the interpretation. Therefore, no new letters could be issued, and the current letters would no longer be effective after a date certain not to exceed 3 years. These bills do not represent meaningful pension reform, but rather a victory for police and fire unions. The League is in opposition to both bills and urges you to contact your legislators to oppose these bills. The House of Representatives substituted committee substitute for Senate Bill 2 by the Senate Ethics and Elections Committee for committee substitute for House Bill 7131 by the House Ethics and Elections Subcommittee. Committee substitute for Senate Bill 2 passed both chambers and is awaiting action by the governor. Committee substitute for Senate Bill 2 makes several changes to ethics laws that affect both state and local government officials. The bill gives the Florida Commission on Ethics additional authority to collect financial disclosure fines, allows financial disclosure filers to use a certified public accountant to prepare financial disclosure forms, and allows elected municipal officials to place assets in a blind trust.
Which is the prohibition on dual office holding, in other words, or dual employment. No longer will legislators be able to be elected up here and then go find a job with a local government that may or may not be a job that requires them to show up.
In the Senate, that chamber substituted committee substitute for committee substitute for committee substitute for House Bill 569 by Representative Schenck for committee substitute for committee substitute for committee substitute for committee substitute for Senate Bill 1382. Committee substitute for committee substitute for committee substitute for Senate Bill 569 passed both chambers and is awaiting action by the governor. As passed, this bill makes several changes to campaign finance laws applicable to local, legislative, and statewide candidates. Of interest to municipalities that have an ordinance or charter provisions that adopt the Florida Election Code as the controlling law for municipal elections, the contribution limit for candidates is increased to $1,000 per person per election. Candidates would be required to file 15 campaign finance reports instead of the current 9 reports. Committee substitute for House Bill 7125 by Representative Jake Rayburn passed the House by a vote of 117 to 1 and now goes to the Senate for action by that body. This bill, which is the Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles legislative package, was amended with language prohibiting local governments with red light camera programs from issuing tickets for right-on-red violations via traffic infraction detectors. The bill also includes language allowing for people receiving a notice of violation via affidavit a 30-day window to pay the original violation before it becomes a uniform traffic citation. The League opposes this bill. Senate Bill 1852 by Senator Appropriations unanimously passed the Senate and is now in the House awaiting action by that body. This proposed committee bill allocates $200 million from the National Foreclosure Settlement, in which the state was a party to a national lawsuit against 5 of the nation's largest banks who committed foreclosure abuses. Senate Bill 1852, unlike its House companion, allocates $70 million from the $200 million to fund the State Housing Initiatives Partnership, while also including funding for the State Apartment Incentive Loan Program, funding to combat homelessness, state courts, and the Attorney General's office. The League supports the SHIP funding language in Senate Bill 1852. The League will continue to encourage cities to adopt a resolution supporting common sense pension reforms that safeguard local pensions and protect taxpayers. Draft resolutions are available on the League's website in the Pension Reform Toolkit. If your city develops a position on the pension reform bills, please provide this information to Craig Kahn via email at kcon@flcities.com. For additional information on municipal issues, call the League's office, read the legislative bulletin, or visit our website at www.flcities.com. Thank you for tuning into this edition of FLC Live at the Capitol. Remember, successful advocacy starts with you.